Alejandro asks, when are you going to post a video with the answers to our questions about the new Nintendo 3DS? Well, in case you couldn't guess, we're doing it right now. So yeah, a couple days ago I put out a call for questions about my experience with the system, as well as any hardware questions you guys may have. And you guys sent in a ton of them, way too many for me to answer all in one video. But I gathered some of the best ones, probably including a few redundant ones. And we're going to go through them right now, as many as I can. Alright, so Amax Production asks, how much is visibility different from the original 3DS? And what is your take on the colored buttons? So I actually have the original 3DS right here for comparison, if you want to look at it. To be honest, I mean, just looking at it, besides the size difference, there really isn't that much different about it. They are very similar visually, just an overall design. But there are, some main key things. Of course, you have the new, C stick, the new colored buttons on the smaller one at least, the new shoulder buttons on the back, which a lot of you guys already know. The biggest difference for me visually is just the matte finish on it. It's no longer reflective like the old one, which I much prefer, both from how it feels and just from a look standpoint, actually. Especially because it doesn't gather fingerprints nearly as bad as the original. It's still not great, mind you, but there you have it. So that is the comparison. Okay. Next up, we have Bill Cipher, who asks, can you go more in depth about how the C-Stick feels to use? So he asked that question before I posted our C-Stick video. I actually posted an entire video showing us using the C-Stick up close and personal. I think, so definitely check out that video if you want, even more thoughts. But it feels good. I really, it's soft to the touch, it's pretty comfortable, and it's easy to reach. Like, it is really close. It is not a problem. Yeah, my only main complaint is that, if you move your thumb, like, centered on it, then you brush up against the top, the hinge here. Now there is a little, like, you can see like a little indent there. It's supposed to give your thumb more room, but it doesn't really help that much. I mean, it does help, but, it'd be nicer if there were more room. But it really isn't that big of a deal, especially if you don't cover your thumb with it. So, there you go. After a few days, I'm pretty happy with the C-Stick. Elijah Brown asks, is the C-Stick a solid button, or is it like a rubbery knob type of thing? Well, I just kind of covered that. It is a rubbery knob. Again, it's like the old school laptops they've used for the mouse. They had a mouse control just like this. So it really just feels like a rubberized button, the one that you push around. NSSK50 asks, can you play DS games on the new 3DS? Well, sure enough, I actually have a DS game right in there, and it works just fine. There's Mario Kart DS, and yeah, so you can. James Headfield asks, are the cameras better in terms of quality? So I checked it out before this video, they are better. For one, the picture quality itself actually is better. And two, when you actually are scanning, when you're just moving the camera around, like, it actually is smoother. Especially in low light conditions. So on the old 3DS right here, it would slow down, especially in low light conditions, like the frame rate would drop, but it looks a lot smoother on the new one. Jack Newton asks, Nintendo said on the Direct that they are changing the 3D slightly. How different is it? Is it better? Can someone play in 3D and have someone watch at the same time now? So yeah, it's definitely a lot better. It does follow you around. So basically, as long as you're not moving the system too crazily, you won't notice a break in the 3D at all. That's not to say it's perfect. There are a couple times when it'll kind of go crazy on you, where like it's not quite sure where you are, so it'll switch up a few times then, but it doesn't happen too often. Otherwise, like, it works really well. Unfortunately, two people cannot use the 3D at one time. The screen is still meant for a single viewer. That's why it has to know where you are. It uses a camera up here to tell where you are, and then directs the screen to you. So, because if you have two of you, it won't work. Unless you can somehow get both of you within the same physical space, which I'm pretty sure is impossible. Alright, Callo Moreau asks, does the C-Stick work with games like Kid Icarus Uprising, or other games that work with the Circle Pad Pro? So, it will work with any game that supported the Circle Pad Pro. They recognize it just as the classic Circle Pad Pro, just as it did back in the day. So it just thinks that's what this is. And I actually made a whole video about it, showcasing that in our Metal Gear Solid 3D video, so give that a look if you want more information. Other than that, though, it will not work with other games. So if the game didn't support the Circle Pad Pro originally, or is built with the new 3DS in mind, it will not support it. Wiffle5 asks, how is a D-pad? On the original model, or on my model at least, the D-pad feels cheap. It works, but does not feel comfortable as it could. Well, that's a good one. I haven't really noticed any difference. Let me check right now. I've got the old 3DS here. I never had any problems with it originally. That felt fine to me. Except you can tell, I think it is, the D-pad here is glossy on the old one. Going to the new one, it feels very similar, but it's a matte finish. so you may prefer that better. It doesn't feel quite as, like, slippery. So, in that sense, I think it does feel a little bit better. But otherwise, you can tell just by looking at it, they are the same size and everything. So, not much difference. Moving on. Tumpy Nuts asks, does it feel lighter or more comfortable than the old 3DS? So, again, I had it right here. The old 3DS, new one. I actually really like how this one feels. I've come to really like it over the past few days. It feels, again, keep in mind, this is the smaller new 3DS. I can't speak for the LL or XL version. But with that said, like, I am really happy with how this one feels. It's really light. It's thin, actually. It feels pretty thin to me. And it's comfortable. Like, it's well balanced, so it doesn't feel too top heavy like I thought the original XL did. This one, I am just really happy with how it feels. Like, it's really comfortable. Honestly, it's a little bit hard for me to go back to the original now. It's just not quite as comfortable. The new one just definitely feels a lot better, and it is a little bit roomier too. So definitely a fan. HappyBug1025 asks, does the internet browser run smoother on the new 3DS? I showcased that a little bit in our new 3DS video, or in our head-to-head speed video. It does. It does run smoother. It loads a lot faster in general, so it definitely does work smoother and better. Mistman12 asks, what is the LED next to the inner camera for? Is it used so that the improved 3D can keep track of your face when you're playing in the dark? So he's talking about this little thing right here. Now you probably can't see it now, especially because I have the... Oh, I did have the 3D turned off, which I should turn off actually. Yeah, so there's a little light right here, you can barely see it. And it's not even on right now. In fact, so it seems odd at first, but I'm confident it does help with the 3D, because it only comes on when you turn the 3D on. If you turn the 3D off, the light turns off. And I'm actually planning on making a whole video about that very soon, covering that light and how well it works in the dark. I haven't fully tested it yet, so we'll be giving that its own video. But yes, that's what that light seems to be for. Toatsu asks, does switching between the 4 buttons and the C-stick feel intuitive during gameplay, or does it take some time to get used to? Now keep in mind, I haven't used it a ton yet. I've only been able to try it really in Metal Gear and the Smash Bros. 3D demo. From what I can tell, it feels fine. It is close, it's not hard to reach, it feels pretty intuitive. I have not had any issues. I've been pretty happy with it. Now again, maybe my opinion will change when I play more games with it, but for the time being, it does not seem to be an issue. I mean, really, with its proximity, it's even easier to get to than the secondary control stick on most controllers. Yummy Banana, oh boy, he asked something, but I just scrolled somewhere. Okay. Yummy Banana Fish asks, many people have already said this, I'm sure, but please describe the extended range of the 3D field of view. That is a good question. So he wants to know how much can you tilt the system, basically, before it goes crazy. Let's see if I can, oh, I was using the volume control before for the 3D. It's hard talking and making videos and using this at the same time. I'm an idiot. Okay, anyways. So, the angle is, you can get it pretty far out. Let's see if you can actually see me right. Okay, good. So, I'm doing it in real time right now. Unfortunately, I can't quite see everything because I'm turning my face in the frame, but... So you can go about, like that. You can tell it maybe about that far before the 3D starts breaking. Yeah, so it goes, I mean, it's far enough. It goes farther than any reasonable person would ever tilt it during the game. So it works fine. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. It works really well. Foggy Entertainment asks, did you notice any difference in performance when it comes to the time it takes to do certain things, considering that the speed is one of the things it advertises? Again, I made a whole video about it, but basically anything that took any amount of time on the original 3DS is way faster here. Just everything from accessing the the browser, to games, to the settings menu, friend list, everything is remarkably quicker in this, so it's all good. Marcio de Los Santos asks, I read online that the new 3DS was region locked. Is that true or false? It's true. It is still region locked. It will work, of course, original DS games from any region, just as any 3DS does. But any 3DS game is still region locked. Bill Bist asks, sometimes I feel like the 3D screen is too small and 3DS XLs is too big. Does the new 3DS stand somewhere comfortable in the middle? Honestly, if you felt that way about both of those, this one is going to be perfect for you, I feel like. Because I agree, the original 3DS screen is a little bit small. I wouldn't say that the new XL screen is too big per se, but it does make the whole system feel a little bit too big and a little bit just a little bit not completely comfortable to use, I find. I've actually been really happy with this. Like, if you look at it just numerically, I don't have the numbers in front of me. It doesn't sound like a huge increase over the original 3DS though. Looking at it, it feels like a notable increase. I am really happy with the screen size. I mean, to be honest, if the XL didn't exist, I would consider this to be the XL. Like, the screen size feels like that big of an improvement. Even though, you know, again, numerically it may not be huge, it does feel like it. It's a big step up in my opinion. Dalton Whiteside asks, how does the C-Stick affect other games like 3D Land? So I went back and checked, just to make sure it does not affect them at all. I was hoping it would be able to function as a secondary control, you know, circle pad. Also with the secondary triggers here acting as just extensions of these, they don't. It ignores it completely. Again, not a big deal, but it would have been nice if they built that functionality in. But yeah, existing 3DS games that don't recognize the Circle Pad Pro or new 3DS will not see them at all. Okay, Operation Fat Guy asks, does it improve the frame rate in Metal Gear Solid 3D? It does not. It does not affect any existing 3DS game if it wasn't built with it in mind. So they could patch those old games to take advantage of it. I doubt they will. But yeah, there are no differences. Hyder Ali asks, is the C-Stick digital, on or off, and no middle ground, or is it analog? I've showed it before in our videos, it is analog. Now, in this case, I'm showing you right now, you can't tell because this is a digital menu, but in Smash Bros. 3DS on the pause screen, we can move the camera, and in Metal Gear, when you move the camera, it's very clearly analog, and it feels pretty good. Solankian, whatever, asks, how do the Z, L, and Z R buttons work in Super Smash Bros. 3DS? Again, I made that its own video for the time being, although I think you can change it in the full version, but in the demo, one of them was shield, I think the left one is shield, and the right one is grab. I may have that backwards, but you can see in my video. Zacharia Zollers asks, is the C-Stick harder to use than on the GameCube controller? That's kind of a weird question. I mean, obviously, being a full stick, the C-Stick is technically better on the GameCube controller. It gives you more range. It's a little bit more accurate. It's easier to gauge where you want to press it. I mean, that does feel better. But in terms of being able to reach it, as I said before, this almost feels better. And, you know, you can't really have a full C-Stick on the 3DS. So for what it is, it works about as well as it could. I've been really happy with it. Honestly, no complaints for it yet. But, you know, of course, a GameCube controller is still going to be the best way to play Smash Brothers in general on the Wii U. Attack on Eric asks, how are the new layouts of the game slot and stylus? Is it more convenient or annoying than the previous positions? So I've heard a few people complaining, or, you know, people who haven't played with the system yet complaining about the slot position of the card slot. Because they did move it from the back here, as in the original, which you can see here. And now it's on the bottom. I like it. You know, it's just a little bit, it's actually easier to get to. Now, some people had issues, you know, some people thought that maybe if you're gaming seriously, might accidentally press on the card slot, and it might pop out. But look, the thing is, the card slot's recessed. So I'm pressing against the, you know, the whole frame, bottom frame here, and it's impossible to press it, you know, just that way. You would have to purposely, or, you know, very much get in there in order to actually get the card out. So I actually did a few tests, like push up against a table and other things. It really does seem like pretty much impossible to accidentally eject the game while you're playing it. I would not worry about it. Now, I'm sure someone somewhere will have a freak incident where they accidentally eject it. I have not found it to be a big deal. As for the stylus slot, again, they moved it from the back on the original 3DS. On the XL, on the, you know, original XL, it's on the side. Here, so it's weird. I do consider it better than the original 3DS. It is just easier to get to. You don't have to reach around back. You can see it. But compared to the XL is easier. Your hand is already here. Just being able to pull it out and use it is much more intuitive than having to move your hand down here and move the 3DS further away from your body potentially, and then pull it out. So yeah, I do like the XL better, original XL better, but this is an improvement over the original 3DS, I would say. And then, do you want to go back in there, or am I just gonna sit here and fiddle with you awkwardly for? Okay, I'm done. It's gonna stick out there for the rest of the video. So maybe getting it back in isn't quite as easy as the previous ones, though. All right, you said Sam NDTY asks, you said something interesting in the previous video about buying the standard new 3DS because you can do the faceplate stuff. Can you elaborate on that? Will the XL not have any interchangeable faceplates? So as a lot of you probably know, no, the XL does not have faceplates, only the smaller XL. And yeah, you can swap out the front faceplate and the back faceplate. Unfortunately, you have to undo the screws here for the back ones. It's not nearly as easy as the front faceplate. And I'll talk more about that later, but I think someone else asked a question about it. I really want to get the stylus in there. Go in. And part of the problem, I think, for the stylus is actually there's like a hinge type thing, which I'll talk about later. Go in, please. Jeez. This is ridiculous. And granted, this would not be as hard if I weren't doing this on video right now. This is taking awkward. There we go. Yay, got it out. Okay. Yeah. So the faceplates, the front one is really easy, and now my camera's totally unfocused. There we go. Front faceplate's really easy. Yeah. Unfortunately, XL does not have it. I don't know why. I wish it did, but yeah. There you go. Mahmood asks, do the menus of Smash 3DS have parallax effects, like Melee and Brawl did when you move the C-stick? I mean, the menus themselves are in 3D, as you probably know, but the C-stick, which you're asking about, as I showed in one of our videos, does not do anything in the menus in that game, unfortunately. So it only is used for smash attacks and on the pause screen for moving the camera around. Yaha Hater asks, 3 questions. Can you transfer data between the 3DS and new 3DS? Yes, you can. It functions just as any other 3DS. So yeah, that's not a problem. Can you use normal Can you use normal SD cards on the new 3DS? No, you can't. They're micro only, so you can't transfer your SD card over. And then lastly, how big is a micro SD card? Thanks guys, keep it up. Well, the micro SD card is the same size as any micro SD card, so it's small, like that big. Now, unfortunately, I can't show the process for removing or changing the SD card, but I don't have a screwdriver to take off the back faceplate, which is where the SD card slot is. It's in here somewhere behind it. But I can show you, as you probably saw me with the menu, or the manual, I can show you what it looks like in the manual here. So you can see, that's where the SD card, can I get a better shot here? Yeah. So you can see the SD card slot is right there, in the back. So, yeah, and the battery's back there too, obviously. Nothing super exciting, but yeah, it's 2 gigabytes, by the way. The SD card is 2 gigabytes. Carp Entertainment asks, oh, he had other questions, right, sorry. And lastly, how big is micro... Oh, I answered them all. Okay, never mind. Moving on. Carp Entertainment asks, hey, GameXplain, just wondering out of curiosity, how easy is it to get used to the controls? It's pretty easy. Like they work super well. I've had no issues. Even reaching the new trigger buttons are easy. Also, how do you feel about the name, the new Nintendo 3DS? I know it's not a big question, but I just want to get your thoughts on it. I mean, I have the same thoughts about that name as I do as any other game or game or product with new in the name. It's dumb. It's a dumb name. It's confusing. Like if another 3DS comes out, I would call that casually the new 3DS, but if it, then that probably won't have the same name as this one. It's stupid. It's confusing. It introduces vagueness when there shouldn't be. But it's really not that big of a deal also. But it is a little bit confusing. Karen Turner asks, how does a new 3DS feel in your hands? Is the texture different? Is it comfortable? Also, do the buttons feel different? Do the buttons feel any different? Let me double check the buttons real quick. Again, these are glossy, like the D-pad and the system itself, and these are matte. So they do feel a little bit different in that sense. I mean, I don't know, it's so similar. If I had to choose, I might say the matte feels a little bit better, but I could just be saying that. Otherwise, the system itself, as I said before, I love how this feels. The texture, I prefer. The weight, the balance is all good. I really can't stress that enough. Even though I already answered that, this really does feel great. Now, I've seen some people maybe complain about the build quality a little bit. I honestly don't get it. This feels really great to me, and it feels really sturdy. My original 3DS, let's see if you can hear it. Like, it creaks. Like, just pressing on it, it creaks all over the place. And maybe that'll be an issue once this gets a little bit older. Right now, it feels rock solid. Big fan of the build quality on this one. Night Tide 9 asks, how durable does the circle pad feel compared to the original 3DS model? I've seen several cases of the circle pad becoming worn and falling off due to the nature of Smash Brothers, and I was wondering if the material seems different or feels more durable. So here's the thing: the circle pad doesn't really feel, or at least look, that much different. I mean, it looks identical, and it feels largely identical. But I went back to my old 3DS to check, and the new one feels smoother. Now, that could just be because it is new. This one doesn't feel quite as smooth, and it could just be because it's had, what, like 3 years worth of use on it. Actually, this one's not that old. This is one of my newer 3DS is. But I actually did compare it to my newest 3DS, being a European one, which had almost no use on it. And this one still feels smoother. So it could just be because, I mean, I'm sure every 3DS circle pad does feel a little bit different, so that could just be a function of that. Or maybe it actually is smoother overall. It does feel good, so yeah, no complaints about it. DK Croxus asks, is the connection between screens sturdier than the regular 3DS? So he's talking about the Hinge. I mean, honestly, it feels feels so similar. Let me... Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's about sturdy. You know, I can't speak if you drop it. I can't speak to that, but it feels the same to me. So yeah, it's about as sturdy, I would say. Baccarat fan asks, sorry, I put my question in the wrong spot. Okay, I'm glad I read that. My question is, where's SD card slot? Well, I just showed you, it's on the back. MS Shoals 0 asks, hey Andre, can you check, preferably with good headphones, if the headphone port is improved compared to the 3DS XL in terms of volume and noise? Okay, so I actually did check that before this video. I could be wrong. I mean, they sounded very similar in quality. In quality is, I would say, identical. Volume level, I could be mistaken. This one sounded like it might be a little bit louder. I can't say for sure. It's very close. It's definitely not enough to consider buying this over that. But it did sound like it might be just slightly louder. But it's still nowhere near loud enough to overtake being on a plane. In my opinion. I've tried playing 3DS on a plane. It's pretty much impossible here, no matter what. Alright, Aiden Hall asks, are there any graphic differences between the new and old 3DSs? There are not, again, unless you're playing a new 3DS game built with a new 3DS in mind. Otherwise, the games look identical. Kawi Piranha asks, how do the buttons feel? Okay, I answered that. Pocket Guy Minez asks, how does it feel in your hands? Okay, answer that. Sorry guys, I mean there were so many questions, I can't remember which ones I added to this list. The Legendary Red asks, after using XLs for the past 5 years or so, do you think it is better to get the regular sized new 3DS with faceplates and color buttons, or would it be better to get the more unappealing new 3DS XL simply for the fact of larger screens? Cause it is hard to go back to smaller screens. Okay, I really can't answer this. I'm not the best one to answer this question. I've been primarily using the original 3DS because I have capture hardware installed on all of them. I have used the new XLs at preview events or on my friends' systems, and I like them. I do like the bigger screen. With that said, you know, as I said, you know, coming from the original 3DS, I really like the screen size on this, and the system itself isn't that much bigger than this one. So despite that, the screens feel a lot larger. Now, is it worth downgrading a screen size for, you know, colored buttons and faceplates? You know, I mean, these are just cosmetic stuff, so not really, I would say, even though I do like them individually. But what I do like is it is, you know, technically more portable, so that's really what it comes down to. Again, I've been very happy with the screen size here. I just can't say if it might bug you coming down from an XL. William Brown asks, I've been hearing some things about some parts of the screen yellowing. Is there any sort of discoloration on the new 3DS? So I looked at this again beforehand. There is a little bit more of a yellowish hue, I would say, compared to the original 3DS. But I did notice when I turned off, or maybe turned on. Let me check. When I turned on, no, I think when I, let me check right now. Okay, yeah, when I turned on the power saving mode, it actually makes the screen look more similar to the original 3DS with it turned off. That side, I didn't notice a difference until I did a head-to-head comparison. I think it's people making a mountain out of a molehill, at least in this specific case. Maybe their screens are worse. I mean, the thing is, I've seen this with cell phones too. Every time a new version, or sometimes even the same version, you know, people have different screens in them, and some have a bluish hue, some have a yellowish hue. And you really can't notice unless you're, you know, doing a head-to-head. Maybe that's me. I don't want to speak for everyone. I don't think it's a big deal. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Again, I didn't know, so I told you the head-to-head. And I notice even more so usually on the menus in the game itself. I mean, you're gonna notice it with lighter, you know, wider hues, as opposed to like being a Metal Gear Solid 3D, which I don't think you'd ever notice a difference. So yeah, there might be some slight difference. I wouldn't worry about it. It does not seem to be a factor for me at least. So maybe people are more sensitive to it than me. I don't even think it's an inherent negative being yellow instead of blue. Nintendo Knucklehead asks, are there any cosmetic differences in the home menu and built-in software? Nope, it's all identical except for one thing you may have noticed right here, being, let's see, this option right here, allowing you to turn on the new auto brightness of the screen, where here, you might be able to see it here. So I turned it on, and then if I cover the screen, yep, you can see it darkened and brightened by covering the camera. That's not really even a cosmetic difference. That's the only difference, though, in the home menu that I found. So, there you go. Ninjax1682 asks, can you play 3DS or DS games on the new 3DS? Yep, as I showed you, any game that works on a 3DS will work on this. Plus more, like the upcoming Xenoblade Chronicles. Robert Howtrayer asks, is the new C-Stick able to easily tell if you want to charge up or go quickly? Are you having any difficulties with distinguishing between the two? So I think he's asking in Smash Brothers, you know, you can hold it down to charge a smash attack or just flick it for a quick one. In my experience, it's been fine. It has not had any trouble, you know, determining the difference between those. I mean, one's holding it, one's not. So nope, that works fine. Nintendo Dragon, actually, no, Nane9 asks, how does the C-Stick feel with Super Smash Bros. 4, and how does it feel with other 3DS games? Okay, I've covered it a bunch already. Feels good. Yeah, it feels good. It's a good improvement. I like it. Nintendo Dragon 77 asks, do you think the new 3DS will become more dominant than the normal 3DS? Honestly, not a chance in hell. The new 3DS has already sold, the original 3DS has already sold a ton, and the XL. This one, I think, will probably do fairly well. There's no way it will ever overtake the user base of the older ones, including the 2DS. It very well might do well, but yeah, there's no way this is going to become the new, you know, there's no way this will be the top-selling system, unless they somehow keep the 3DS line running far longer than I think they will. I think this is a stopgap like the DSi was until the next proper handheld, and you know, and this will probably only be here for like a year or two at most before the next system. Okay, the DSi, I'm pretty sure, was not the best-selling DS, so I think it's the same thing here. 9 Jored asks, if 3DS XL makes 2 cracking noises when opening, does the new 3DS do this too? So I think he's talking about how the original DS, you know, you can flip the screen into different positions. You have the all the way back and then one a little bit closer. This one actually has 3, check it out. So going from opening, it stops there, which is a really weird angle. I don't know why you'd ever play it. Push it back a little bit further for a more natural angle like the original, or push all the way back again like the original. And yeah, I play it like pretty much flat. But this is the angle you'll probably be using most of the time. Okay, next up, Madness asks, if I bought a menu theme on my original 3DS XL, can I transfer it to the new 3DS? I mean, I didn't test it myself, but there's no reason why I shouldn't transfer over. Everything else can transfer over. There's no reason why themes shouldn't as well, so it should. Hater Ali asks, what's this all about, the Stylus being a crowbar for the faceplates? I will show you. Oh god, that means I have to take it out and put it back in again. Oh man. Alright, so basically if you take a close look at the Stylus, there actually is a hinge on it. That's part of the problem why I had trouble getting it back in. And the way this works is it actually is used for the faceplate. So if you look at, I'll just do it for the front one, but the back one, again, you have to take the screws out first, which is not easy. And great, my neighbor's making a bunch of noise right now. Awesome! So you can actually see there's like little gaps here on the sides, both sides, and you just put the hinge, just plop the Stylus in there. I'm looking at the camera lens trying to do this. Alright, let's see. Okay, just put it in. Yeah, well, there you go. It just popped right back out. So it's super easy, super convenient, pretty clever actually. Except for, and then to get back in, as I showed in another video, you just slot it in there and push it down. Really easy. It really cannot be easier, except for the screws on the back, which is to me is a major unfortunate thing, because it doesn't even come with a screwdriver for it. So hey, there he went back in easily that time. Yeah, there you go. Okay, moving on. Adrian asks, do you like waffles? Hell yeah, I do. Tegman5Cats asks, does the 3D work at all angles? As I showed you before, most angles, not every angle you can get. If you go too far beyond what the camera can see, then yeah, it's not going to work. Hater asks, I know you were having trouble with the small size of the original 3DS for Smash. Is this better? Would it strain your eyes? It is better, unquestionably, but as I mentioned in the review, even the XL I had trouble with, so yeah, so there's still going to be problems for me, at least, but it is a marked improvement, so I do like it better. Gibbleton asks, how is the circle pad? Okay, answer that. Is the cartridge slot for the 3DS games in the way or touching your palm at all? As I mentioned, it's not in the way. Your palm probably won't even come close to touching it, so I wouldn't worry about it. And are the ZL and ZR triggers uncomfortable to reach for? No, I mean, let me show you right now, like, they're right there. Like, it is really easy to reach to. Like, I actually find them easier to like, they're better to reach than on the gamepad. So this is actually way nicer. I like it. Okay. Next up, let's see here. Pylorus Shy asks, in the past I had trouble listening to my 3DS anywhere in public because of the volume. Is the new 3DS louder? So I actually did a sound test before this. I put up next to my microphone, I could see the actual decibel level. It is identical as far as I could tell. The decibel level was identical. No difference at all. Volume level is the same. However, Callum Smart asks, I heard from some people in Japan that the sound is improved. Have you noticed anything? So I did a bunch of A and B tests. It is really hard to tell. They are really similar, but I think this may sound a little bit better. This may sound just a little bit higher in quality. I could be wrong. It is hard to tell, but this did sound just a little bit richer. So, but again, it's a very minor difference if there is any. Then Colin Crawford asks, do you think the new 3DS is better to control than the original 3DS? The original 3DS was a little too small for my hands. I know the new 3DS is larger, but what's your opinion on that? I mean, I think as you can probably tell from my past answers, I like it. Everything about it feels great. The controls are great. I like the weight. I like the feel, the matte texture. It really is, to me, an improvement over the original. Is it that big of an improvement? I mean, I can't really say. In fact, I think someone asked that coming up really soon. Monta27 asks, yo Andre, thanks for the video. My question is, how are the loading times on Smash and turning the game on or off on the new 3DS compared to the original 3DS? I actually made a whole, again, the speed head-to-head, the loading time video head-to-head. It's way faster on this. This one takes forever. This one, like, I could probably do a match while this one's still loading. So, yeah, much better. I'm way happier with how the load time is on this. Dayton Sete asks, can you tilt the screen? Yep, I showed you. You can. WWW Wario asks, how is the battery life on the new one compared to the standard 3DS XL? I haven't done any official tests, but it seems pretty good right so far. I mean, at a minimum, it should be better than the original. I haven't done any official tests again, but it seems fine in my experience. Burkay Dove ULCU 11 asks, would you recommend the new 3DS to someone who may not end up buying any exclusive games for it, but already owns an original 3DS? That is a really tough question. Honestly, no. I do like it better. It is better, but it's not that much better. And no, granted, my opinion may change once we know about more games. Right now, we only know about Xenoblade Chronicles coming to this, and at this point, you can just play it on the Wii as well. Granted, not in 3D. So yeah, while there are a lot of improvements to this one still works fine. You know, it loads games slower, the controls aren't as good, it doesn't feel quite as great in my opinion. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's still like most of the way there. So if it's your first 3DS, definitely get this one I would recommend, or the XL. If you're upgrading, I would not worry about it. So this, I mean, it's not really worth paying for a whole new system, especially when we have no idea how long this is going to last for. There may be a new, handout from Nintendo in no time. And for our final question, Eric Henner wants to know, does it blend? I don't know. Let's find out. Okay, I'm joking. I'm not that well off. I can't just blend all my 3DSs. Alright guys, well that wraps it up for our Q&A here. Thanks for watching. And of course, make sure to stay tuned to GameXplain.com for lots more on maybe the new 3DS. I have at least one more video planned for it, and other things gaming as well. Alright, thanks guys. Bye.